of y'all. Y'all my fat pay. Y'all make enough money off of me.
Rihanna was like, I just wanted to be her.
So my parents were like, be realistic. Like, you need to work. This can be a hobby.
This drama between Tyla and Rihanna just took a crazy turn. And it's not only about music, it's about power, image, and who really runs the global pop game. Tyla finally spoke out, throwing shade that made fans believe Rihanna's shadow might be holding her back. The tension between them is clear and people are locked in. But before going deeper, let's set the stage. Because this isn't only Tyla versus Rihanna. This is the industry playing chess with their careers, and we're seconds away from seeing it explode. Tyla stormed into the spotlight when her track Water went viral on TikTok in 2023. That song didn't just chart, it broke into the Billboard Hot 100 and won her a Grammy for Best African Music Performance. Overnight, she became South Africa's global pop princess. Then things got messy. Fans quickly noticed the similarities and compared her to Rihanna. The style, the vibe, even certain photos had people clowning her for copying Rihanna's old looks. The internet didn't hold back, calling her a copycat and accusing her team of running Rihanna's exact playbook, step for step, word for word. But Tyla didn't just sit back and laugh it off. She spoke up early. She said it plain. Rihanna is Rihanna. It's a compliment. But at the same time, I'm my own artist. I'm Tyla. And I know as people get to know me and my music, they will see me as just Tyla. Sounds polite, right? But between the lines, she was basically saying, stop throwing me in Rihanna's shadow. I've got my own identity. Then she doubled down with a post about people secretly recording her conversations. Fans instantly read it as shade toward the industry, and maybe even Rihanna, hinting she was being boxed in as the next Riri. Tyla wrote, talking to me about secretly recording is so weird, I can see the lens, baby. That had people buzzing, and Rihanna didn't exactly stay quiet either. Around the same time, she reposted a cryptic quote on Instagram. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Fans went crazy, connecting dots, thinking Rihanna was warning Tyla to stay in her lane, or maybe just laughing at the idea anyone could replace her. Sure, she could have been talking about anything or anyone, but here's where it got messy. The way Epic Records has been marketing Tyla, mixed with how the industry plays favorites, left people wondering if Rihanna's jealousy, or at least her refusal to co-sign, might actually be blocking Tyla's growth. Let's break it down. From Tyla's viral rise with Water, to the copycat claims, to the whispers of industry sabotage, this saga has everything. By the end, you'll see why so many believe Rihanna is quietly making sure Tyla never reaches her full potential. When Tyla dropped Ada in 2023, nobody expected it to take over the world the way it did. The track blended piano, R&B, and Afro beats, and the mix just hit different. But what really blew it up wasn't just the sound, it was the performance. Tyla and her choreographer dropped that TikTok of her sliding across the floor, pouring water on herself, and hitting those Bacardi-inspired moves that snapped. Within weeks, the challenge was everywhere, and Tyla went from a local South African star to an international name overnight. The song cracked the Billboard Hot 100's top 10, peaking at number 7 in January 2024, and Tyla even snagged the first ever Grammy for Best African Music Performance. Just like that, she was crowned the face of African pop on the global stage, but success that fast always comes with side eyes, and that's when the Rihanna comparisons came flooding in. Not just because Tyla was young, bold, and rocking high fashion fits, but because her entire rollout felt familiar. The swag, the sultry red carpet poses, the messy hair flips, fans swore Rihanna had already done it all. One viral post on X joked, "What in the good girl gone bad is going on here?" Now she's in her Rihanna era. Another blunt take said, "If I was Rihanna, I'd be annoyed." Tyla needs to find her own identity immediately. And honestly, you can see why people said it. Rihanna built her image as the cool Caribbean girl from Barbados who could cross over globally, and now Tyla's being packaged the same way as the cool girl from South Africa. The setup even feels copy-paste. Rihanna had Jay-Z and Def Jam behind her, while Tyla has Epic Records pouring millions into viral campaigns to make her the next big thing. And the label politics can't be ignored. Insiders claim Epic has been flooding TikTok and Twitter with paid pushes since 2022, making sure Tyla's songs trended even before she was a known name. Her single Been Thinking suddenly popped up on timelines everywhere, despite her being a complete unknown at the time. That same machine rolled out Water, And it worked. People who never even searched her name were still seeing her content on their feeds. That's why critics slapped her with the industry plant label. Normally, being compared to Rihanna would be a blessing.
There are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
It puts you in elite company. But for Tyla, it's starting to feel like a curse. She's admitted she always looked up to Rihanna because she didn't believe non-American girls could make it that big. In Interview magazine, she said, "I do remember loving the story of Rihanna because she came from outside of America. It made me feel like my dream was achievable because it's not something that happens every day for us." But here's the twist. While she's clearly flattered, Tyla wants out of Rihanna's shadow. In Cosmopolitan, she doubled down. "At the same time, I am my own artist. I'm Tyla. I know as people get to know me and my music, they will see me as just Tyla." That's basically Tyla saying, "Stop calling me the new Rihanna." She's over it. But here's the catch. Whether she likes it or not, her career path is almost identical to Rihanna's early grind. And some believe that's no accident. It's by design. Just look at how Tyla's being styled at the biggest fashion events. At the 2024 Met Gala, she rocked a custom Balmain sand dress that literally stopped traffic. Then at the MTV EMAs, she switched it up in a vintage Roberto Cavalli. Both looks dripping with that same rebellious yet sexy energy Rihanna once owned on red carpets. And when Anna Wintour personally tapped Tyla for the 2025 Met Gala host committee, the narrative wrote itself. Rihanna 2.0 had officially arrived. But here's the problem. Being labeled the next Rihanna comes with baggage. If Rihanna feels like Tyla's creeping into her lane, things could turn icy fast. Rihanna has never been the type to stay quiet when it comes to protecting her legacy, and that's exactly where the jealousy whispers began. Did Rihanna see Tyla as a threat? Was she annoyed at the endless comparisons? Fans are convinced her cryptic post, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper," was her subtle way of telling Tyla and the entire industry that she's untouchable. And before we get deeper into Rihanna's possible shade, we need to look at why the industry keeps pushing this narrative. Tyla's whole come-up feels manufactured to follow Rihanna's blueprint step by step. Even some of Tyla's looks are giving straight Pon de Replay and Come Mr. DJ energy. At this point, the Rihanna comparisons stopped being flattering and turned into a full-on battleground. Rihanna has been in this game long enough to spot when someone's being set up as her replacement. Labels have hyped the new Rihanna before. Bloggers have crowned fresh faces the future of pop. But this time, it feels personal. Remember that cryptic post Rihanna dropped? "No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I knock in the face of those who think otherwise." Fans instantly connected the dots. This wasn't just a random Bible verse. To them, it was a warning shot, aimed at the industry, maybe even at Tyla directly, saying she's untouchable and no copycat can take her throne. The internet ran with it. One fan wrote, "I don't think Tyla's failure is her fault. It's her team and her fans who ruined her career. They made her think she was more talented than she was." Another chimed in, "I'm glad people see it now. Tyla and her team stole her looks, her attitude, everything, then shipped it to the US. Now she's a copycat with light-skin privilege." But here's the kicker. Tyla herself has been playing both sides. On one hand, she praises Rihanna every chance she gets. In British Vogue, she said, "Coming from somewhere outside the States, I really looked up to her. She made me realize there's another way." On the other hand, her tone has started to shift. When she said, "Rihanna is Rihanna, but I'm my own artist. People will see me as Tyla." It sounded polite on the surface, but fans swear it was shade. Especially after that post where she complained about people secretly recording her, hinting at industry snakes watching her every move. People instantly read Tyla's post as her calling out industry insiders, maybe even Rihanna's camp, for trying to catch her slipping. Whether true or not, it fueled the story that real tension is brewing behind the scenes. And here's what makes it even messier. Rihanna isn't just an artist anymore. She's a billionaire mogul running Fenty, Savage X Fenty, and raising 3 kids while holding an untouchable rep. So if Tyla's rise even looks like a threat, you better believe there could be quiet pushback. Labels, fashion houses, and media execs all know Rihanna runs the table. If she's not feeling Tyla, doors could slam shut overnight. That's why fans are speculating Rihanna's jealousy isn't only emotional, it might be strategic. They point out how Tyla still hasn't landed major collabs despite her Grammy-winning viral hit. No Drake feature, no Beyoncé cosign, no Rihanna duet. For someone this hot, that's unusual. Could Rihanna be making calls behind the scenes? It's not far-fetched when you remember how cutthroat the industry is. A resurfaced 2005 clip of Rihanna on the Tyra Banks show had her joking that Jay-Z once told her, "There are two ways to leave here, through the door with a deal signed or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor." That story has always haunted fans because it showed how intense the pressures really are. And now, with Tyla being branded Rihanna 2.0, people can't help but wonder if Rihanna is paying that same pressure forward, keeping her space by making sure Tyla never climbs too high. Before we even touch those sabotage claims, we need to unpack how Tyla's whole image looks manufactured, from her style to her sound to the way her label positions her. Once you see the formula, it's hard to unsee that Rihanna blueprint. From the very beginning, Tyla wasn't moving like an indie artist grinding from the bottom. She had a major machine backing her immediately, with Epic Records pushing her from day one. And when you trace the way they marketed her, the blueprint becomes crystal clear. Back in 2022, Tyla wasn't mainstream yet, but somehow her single Been Thinking kept showing up on timelines. Fans later realized Epic was allegedly paying big TikTok and Twitter pages to push her content, forcing her name into the feed whether people asked for it or not. That's why it felt inorganic. By the time Water dropped, the campaign was flawless. Every other For You page had Tyla sliding across the floor, pouring water, and hitting those viral moves. People swore they never even searched her name, yet her clips still flooded their algorithms non-stop. And this is where the Rihanna comparisons get louder. When Rihanna broke out in 2005 with Pon de Replay, Def Jam and Jay-Z branded her as the exotic, stylish, global crossover girl. Tyla's rollout, practically identical. Rihanna had Barbados, Tyla has South Africa. Rihanna had her bestie and creative partner Melissa Ford. Tyla has Tando, her creative director since day one. Rihanna shifted from Caribbean roots into full pop dominance, and Tyla's being lined up to do the exact same play. Start with Afro-pop flavor, lock in a fan base, then slide into global pop with fashion deals lined up on the side. Rihanna's early rise went from playful, sexy performances to Met Gala domination, from BMA stunners to vintage Roberto Cavalli, and eventually a coveted Met Gala host committee invite. That's label branding 101. But here's where it gets controversial. Some critics argue Epic purposely chose Tyla because of her racial ambiguity in the US market. Non-American pop stars who are light-skinned or mixed are often marketed as more palatable. Commentators online pointed out that before Tyla, most African women breaking into the US mainstream, like Thames and Era Star, had darker skin. Tyla's lighter complexion, polished accent, and carefully styled image made her easier to package for global audiences not used to embracing African women at that scale. Sure, Thames had that huge Drake remix with Wait For You, but fans say Tyla's image feels more engineered. Even her personality arc feels crafted. She shifted almost overnight from a playful teen doing TikTok dances to a sultry, high-fashion superstar. Critics say she doesn't have one consistent identity. She morphs into whatever lane her label needs. And when your brand is built on comparisons to Rihanna, that shadow isn't going away. Now imagine Rihanna watching this unfold. She knows the game. She lived it. And now she's seeing a younger artist being rolled out with her exact formula. That's why jealousy speculation feels so believable, because it's not just Tyla copying Rihanna's looks, it's Epic Records trying to recreate Rihanna's entire career from scratch. And if you're Rihanna, the last thing you want is someone being positioned as your replacement. That's what fuels the shade. Rihanna feeling cloned, Tyla feeling trapped in Rihanna's shadow. At that point, the tension isn't just personal anymore. It's a full-on identity war. This Tyla versus Rihanna drama really exploded once the shade started flying on social media. At first, it was little things. Cryptic captions, subtle posts, sly comments fans swore were aimed at each other. But in today's industry, shade travels faster than music and people couldn't stop dissecting it. Tyla isn't the type to call someone out directly, but her posts always spark conversation. In interviews, she doubled down, saying she just wants her own lane. In Cosmopolitan, she explained, "People want to tie me to something familiar to them. Cool. But at the end of the day, we're doing something no one's done before, and it can't really be compared to anyone." That line, "we're doing something no one's done before," felt like a subtle dig, like she was saying, "I'm not copying, I'm innovating." Meanwhile, Rihanna stayed in character, never naming names, but always knowing how to stir the pot. Her Instagram post, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper," wasn't just a random faith quote. To the Navy, it was their queen declaring she's untouchable. But to Tyla's fans, it sounded like Rihanna low-key admitted she sees Tyla as a threat. Either way, it sparked a firestorm of debates about whether Rihanna was shading or just preaching. And then things escalated when Cardi B jumped in. She couldn't stand watching Tyla get dragged with non-stop Rihanna comparisons. Cardi snapped, "Every single time I scroll my TikTok, there's a video of her and people talking ish, and it's like, God dang, what do you want her to do? Cut her veins?" It was raw, and it flipped the spotlight back on how toxic these fan wars have gotten. Cardi's words didn't just defend Tyla. They also called out an industry that seems set on forcing her into Rihanna's shadow. And of course, fans did what fans always do. They turned the shade into a full-blown war. Some accused Tyla of being obsessed with Rihanna's style, while others swore Rihanna was just jealous because she hasn't dropped new music in years and Tyla's out here dominating charts and red carpets. One fiery comment read, "Tyla's success ain't organic. They manufactured her whole brand to be Rihanna light." Of course, Rihanna's annoyed. Nobody wants to be replaced in their own lifetime. Another fan fired back, "I love how people keep saying Tyla copies Rihanna, but instead of being bitter, Tyla continues to call Rihanna one of her inspirations. That's how you know she's secure and genuine." But both sides kept pouring gas on the flames, and suddenly an innocent comparison turned into a full storyline of sabotage and jealousy. And here's why it matters. In this industry, shade isn't just petty, it affects opportunities and money. If Rihanna isn't vibing with Tyla, will fashion houses hesitate to book her? Could collabs get quietly blocked? Fans are convinced Rihanna's jealousy isn't only emotional, it could be actively stalling Tyla's growth. Tyla seems to know it too. That's why she keeps stressing her individuality, reminding people she's her own artist. Because if she doesn't break free from Rihanna's shadow, she risks being remembered as nothing more than a copycat. And that's where things get dangerous. When industry politics and personal egos mix, it stops being just shade. It starts looking like sabotage. And some insiders swear Rihanna might already be doing exactly that behind the scenes. At this point, it's bigger than just Tyla versus Rihanna. It's about whether the industry even lets Tyla become the only girl in the world. At this point, it's bigger than just Tyla versus Rihanna. This is a clash between an established icon and a manufactured successor, and the industry is cashing in on every second of it. The music game thrives on rivalries, from Nicki versus Cardi to Beyoncé versus Ciara. Drama keeps fans locked in. Tyla versus Rihanna is just the latest chapter, but this time the stakes are global. Tyla represents a new wave of African artists breaking into the US mainstream, while Rihanna stands as the ultimate gatekeeper who can make or break that momentum. And here's the danger. If Rihanna even sees Tyla as a threat, she doesn't need to say her name. Rihanna's influence across music, fashion, and business is powerful enough to quietly block collabs, slow down sponsorships, and stall careers. And if doors start closing, people won't blame Rihanna. They'll just say Tyla fell off. Still, not everything is on Rihanna. Critics argue Tyla's own team played themselves by leaning too hard into the Rihanna formula. By copying the blueprint so closely, they practically invited comparisons that now weigh her down. But the whispers won't stop because the facts are right there. Rihanna hasn't dropped an album in nearly a decade, while Tyla is already Grammy certified, front row at Paris Fashion Week, and hosting award shows with Pharrell and DJ Khaled. That's enough to make anybody look twice. Tyla versus Rihanna isn't just a fan war anymore. It's a case study in how the industry recycles its stars. When one legend slows down, the machine builds the next one. But here's the risk. If the next one reminds people too much of the OG, they might never escape that shadow. For Tyla, everything comes down to one thing: carving out her own identity. If she keeps letting people call her the new Rihanna, she'll always be second best. But if she flips the script, maybe with a bold sound switch or raw storytelling in her music, she could create a lane Rihanna can't touch. And that's why this drama matters. Tyla's either on the edge of becoming the next global superstar or the next casualty of industry sabotage. Let's be real. Tyla shading Rihanna isn't just ego, it's survival. She's fighting to prove she's not a clone, while Rihanna reminds the world she's still the only girl in the world. Until one of them speaks on this tension directly, fans are going to keep fueling the fire. And Tyla has to bring more than just one viral hit if she wants to break free. So what do you think? Is Tyla stuck in Rihanna's shadow, or is she about to step into her own? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this.